Week 3 of the college football season, and we're back with another edition of the Nameless podcast.
The Nameless podcast.
Nameless segments about college football. We got some more good suggestions last week. I know Michael Williamson Jr. hit us up with onion lettuce onion if you still had the hair. But Coach Frank's getting into it. He said he went, let me think about this. The acronym, it was Football Facts with Connor and Stone. So it was FFCS, kind of a spin-off FCS. It was a decent suggestion.
Not too shabby. Give it like a 6 out of 10. I don't think it makes the cut though.
Okay, Coach Franks, you just got called a 6 out of 10. We just lost our one listener. Let's get into our top 3 this week. Looking back, we did top 5 last week. We'll consolidate it a little bit this week. Top 3. You want to lead it off?
For sure. Top 3. So less out of the national spotlight, but want to kind of get a few things off my chest. So I went Incarnate Word beating Nevada 55-41. Not a game anybody probably watched, or I mean, I'm sure it's something you noticed when you're checking the scores, right? Or it came across your ESPN ticker, but I think it speaks to the state of college football right now. Incarnate Word is being led by Lindsey Scott Jr., who was originally committed to LSU. He plays quarterback, then went to East Mississippi Community College. He's a last chance U star, then transfers into Nichols. Now he's at Incarnate Word. And he dominated this Nevada team by himself. And there are a lot of guys on that Incarnate Word team now. They just cracked the FCS top 10. And I think it speaks to the state of college football. Like I said, the transfer portal and what it's done. Guys realizing that you can get to the league which way or another now. You know, Travis Hunter of Jackson State, 5-star kid, was all over Florida State, then flips to Jackson State. They're inside the top 10. He's getting the recognition that he deserves. I think it speaks to the transfer portal and how much talent there is now in all of college football because FCS teams are beating FBS teams left and right week by week.
I like you. I like that you basically just stole my idea of the top one on my list last week, going outside the national spotlight.
Absolutely.
Well, Liberty Southern Miss, you started with Incarnate Word, Nevada.
Yes.
Right.
He's a kid. Lindsey Scott's is a kid, man. If you haven't seen him, you got to get your eyes on him. He's explosive. He dogged that SIU team. He just went out and handled business each and every week. Look him up. He's a human highlight reel.
Okay. All right. There's your number 3. I kind of nixed the rules on my number 3. My number 3 game is just all the upsets that happened. So I'm going Marshall, Notre Dame. I'm going App State winning at Texas A&M. I'm going Georgia Southern beating Nebraska. So I'm consolidating that all into one. Just think about what those wins did, not only for the players, but also the people around them. App State had people jumping in lakes, running down the main street on campus, and now
at each other.
And now they have college game day this week. It's awesome. Marshall beats Notre Dame, and now all of a sudden Notre Dame fans, they thought Marcus Freeman was, the greatest gift that they're going to have. Now people are doubting Marcus Freeman in South Bend and beyond with their fan base. So that's a big impact of Marshall sending Marcus Freeman to 0-3. And then Georgia Southern gets Scott Frost fired. So maybe Nebraska fans are thanking Georgia Southern for that because those fans have been calling that for a while. But not only the results in the field, but just the impact that that's had surrounding those wins for the group of 5 teams, big time for the fan bases and the structuring of what's going to become the coaching carousel.
And a good look for the extension of the college football playoffs, right? Like the way Marshall beat Notre Dame, they didn't just beat them. They beat them, I know I can't say handily, but like going through the tape, right? Like the turnovers that they generated and stuff. It was just good to see because fast forward to 2026, right, when this thing's extended to 12 teams, Marshall's receiving votes right now. Let's just say they were seated at like a 12 or at like a 16. Not a 16, at like a 12 or an 8 or a 10, and played in Notre Dame and beat them that way. Like, it's a good look for the people who are advocating for the extension of the college football playoffs, as were the other defeats too. So I love to see the upsets. Like I said, I mentioned an FCS team beating an FBS team. Like, I love that this is going on more and more as these years go by. I think it's a good look for college football.
Yeah, and 2 months ago, we were here saying, oh, those teams are probably going to drop off the face of the earth and become FCS teams.
Right.
Now the door's open. with some of these results, maybe the restructuring of the college football playoff for more of this, which
for sure,
as FCS guys at heart, I think we can both appreciate.
Absolutely.
All right, you're number 2. What do you got?
So I stayed away from the upsets, right? We all know everything about them. I love that we did bring them up, though, because just to relive those moments was awesome. But I went Tennessee at Pitt, right? I've been on this Tennessee train for weeks now. You know, Heupel and Hendon Hooker, this is a duo that I think are really solid. And 2 weeks ago when we started the Nameless pod, I think that I said this team was going to be a top 15 team heading into week 3, right? They're going to beat Ball State. They're going to beat the teams they should, and then they're going to beat Pitt. They're going to have an opportunity to beat Pitt. Well, Pitt took them to overtime, but they got it done. And now AP spits them out at 15, right where I said they were going to be. Love to see it. This was a great game. Pitt jumped out to a 17-7 lead, and I'm thinking, uh-oh. But Hendon Hooker and this Tennessee offense is potent. Their team, like I said, I don't think has that many holes in it. Just really proud of this team. I feel like I'm rocking with them all the way, and they went into overtime and got this thing done. Top 15 team. Don't count them out. They look good. If they want to sneak Georgia, they want to sneak Kentucky, the 1,000 to 1 odd Tennessee getting in the college football playoff is alive.
That's also my number 2, and we agree on back-to-back weeks. But Stone, man, your boys got to clean it up on special teams.
Oh, God.
Blocked punt, muffed punt. They only scored 3 points in the second half and still get a win against the top 25 team. That's probably Josh Heupel's best win since he's been the head coach at Tennessee. But
absolutely,
your boys got to clean it up. I know you're riding with them. Awesome game, a little bit of sloppiness, but top 25 win. And I'm just glad that for the final time, I'll say this, we don't have to talk about them beating Ball State.
We'll put it to rest. We'll put it to rest.
But let me say this. I was thinking that Gavin Bartholomew, the tight end for Pitt, he had that great play where he hurdled the guy on the sideline and ran for a touchdown. If Pitt won that game, of course, they were going to be 2-0. They were number 17 in the poll. If they made a run, and maybe they could still win the ACC, and they could potentially go to the college football playoff, I guess. It's going to be hard after that. But that could have been the image of Pitt's season. I mean, that could have been one of the big images of their season. It's a shame that your boys in Knoxville screwed that up.
I agree with you. It definitely could have been. And I think this team's going to get better and better as the season goes on. Keaton Slovis finally kind of picking up that playbook fully and gaining confidence and stuff. I think he got banged up later in that game. I don't really remember, but really cool to see them winning. Yeah, there's still a chance they win that ACC.
Okay, I think our number 1 might be the same. I'll count down from 3, and we'll say it at the same time. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Bama, Texas. I mean, come on. This game, I mean, it had everything you needed. It had everything you weren't expecting. You know, can't talk last week, me and you, right? 20.5-point underdogs. We said Steve Sarkisian was scared, right? Like he wasn't prepared for this game. He said, it's just another game.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Maybe you're right there, right? I did say they were scared. And what do we get? We get 154 yards from Quinn Ewers in the first quarter. And I did call him getting knocked out of the game. So shouts to that. Bama was going to just welcome them to the SEC. I know they're not there yet, but it was like, hey.
I was so mad. I was so mad. One, because it happens and Texas is rolling on offense. Like,
yes.
And I don't want the guy to get hurt. But also we text each other at the same time. Oh, my God. It actually happened.
It actually happened. He got driven into the ground. It's probably the worst injury that I see as a quarterback because I just know the excruciating pain that it is. Just getting your shoulder pile driven into the ground. Yeah, so it's over, right? Quinn Ewers gets taken out of the game. Oh, God, here we go. Bama's going to run this thing up by 40. Hudson Card just steps up to the plate, converting third downs, getting them within field goal range, doing what they need to do. The Texas defense stepped up. And on my show today here at ESPN West Palm, we played some audio from Sarkisian, and we were deciphering whether it's a soft coach or a hard coach statement. And he said, we didn't lose. We just ran out of time. And I'm somebody who personally, it's a secret of mine, but I do believe in moral victories. I think if you don't, you're lying to yourself and just trying to put on a facade. It's a moral victory all the way. To see that defense play the way it did, to know what Quinn Ewers is actually capable of doing and what he's going to do heading forward, there's a lot to look forward to. Bryce Young, Houdini stuff, doing what he does best, ice in the veins. It was depressing to watch, but it was cool to see.
Yeah, we were having that conversation on Friday night on our broadcast about how Bryce Young is maybe not the best put together high school prospect ever. But he was one of them. He was up there as one of the best quarterbacks in the country, obviously, coming out of California. And then Joel Klatt said like the exact same thing on the Fox broadcast on Saturday. Amazing.
Tip the cap.
I didn't say it. Again, Jack Hobart for preempting that. So we had an Alabama running back in our game. But anyway, cautionary tale for Texas in my mind. Remember 2016, the opener? They beat Notre Dame.
Yes.
And everybody, awesome game. They beat him like 50-47, I think. And everybody's saying Texas is back in that moment. The highlight of Texas this season cannot be a 1 point loss to Alabama.
But it might be.
It just can't.
Mm-hmm.
It can't. If that's the standard for which Texas is back now, then Texas is down even worse than even I. So that's the cautionary tale. I hope Quinn Ewers is back at some point. It's super fun to watch him do his thing in the first quarter the other day. And Bijan Robinson didn't have a massive game. Alabama did a really good job against the Texas running back, but that offense could be scary if they're moving the ball like they did early in that game against Alabama. So there we go. There's our top 3 for the week. Maybe we get good games this week and we can go back to top 5 next week. But
absolutely,
those are the 3. All right,
absolutely.
Let's look ahead a little bit. We've got 2 top 25 games that we've got our eye on this week, and then another kind of wild card game that I want to throw at you. We'll get to that one third because that one's kind of the outlier. First one is number 12 BYU. They're coming off their win in overtime against Baylor at home. And then number 25 Oregon, it's their second ranked game. Remember, they got destroyed by Georgia on opening weekend. So both teams kind of looking at this as maybe a season defining game. Who do you like?
I personally like Oregon. I'm not for the Bo Nix slander. I mean, it's just all you see on your Twitter timeline. But here's the thing. I'm a gambler. I like to throw bucks around, whether it's Saturday, whether it's Sunday. I think a little bit down the road, I won't be able to say that, with the jobs that I'll eventually have, but I can say it now. BYU is going to become a public dog, right? They're just a darling at this moment, right? Like they've taken down USF, just beat a number 9 ranked Baylor. All the money is going to come pouring in on BYU. Plus the Bo Nix hatred that I don't know why we possess as an entire country, right? Every single state has fans of their team that hate Bo Nix. I guess because he's turnover prone, and I guess because he ran away from Auburn. I don't really understand. I'm not able to wrap my head around it. I like Bo Nix. I think this is a good cleanup spot for them. They're just going to become a public dog. I think I'm going to see 75% of the money come pouring on BYU. We've already seen it earlier in the week. Today is Tuesday. Oregon doesn't give 2 duck farts that they beat Baylor, that BYU beat Baylor. Like that's not a game that it's like, no, you got to come to Oregon. It's a blackout night. They're going to be dressed in all black. It's a Cougar funeral. I love Bo Nix going off here. I think it's a get-back game. I think it's a statement game for him. I think he goes off.
T-shirt coming soon. I don't give 2 duck farts.
Let's go.
You're also on record calling somebody a dork last week. I think that would go well on a T-shirt too. All right. So you like the Ducks. You love Bo Nix, maybe more than Hendon Hooker. Next game, no,
don't do that. We can't do that. We can't say that. I'm a Hendon Hooker guy till the death. Bo Nix, it's going to be easy to hop off his train. I can just like or retweet someone's tweet calling him trash, and then I'm back off that train. But for now, I'm on it. I think it's a good spot this week.
You're all for the quarterbacks proving people wrong. So your top 3 Heisman finalists, Hendon Hooker wins it. Bo Nix finishes second. And then you got Sean Clifford finishing third.
That's good. That's good for me. I love it. I love the narratives.
All right. I'm into it. Then we'll get a defensive guy in there too. Maybe it'll be the guy Williams. Sure. Second game we're looking at. This is close to home for you. Miami, number 24, Texas A&M. This is the first big game in the Mario Cristobal era for the Hurricanes.
Yes, it is.
And for Texas A&M, the storyline of this one's pretty obvious. You just had an embarrassing home loss against Appalachian State, and you're playing a top 25 game. My question to you, one, who's going to win, but also Who is this game more important for?
It's a really good question. And I think it's a 50-50 answer. I don't necessarily think there's a side where it's more important for. Really personal preference, I think, at that, because it is the crystal ball era, right? If they lose this game, it's, they can't contend with these top 10 teams, the teams, predicted to go to the college football playoffs. Like, they're not there. Their goal is still to win the ACC. On Texas A&M side, it's like, okay, you're recruiting 4 and 5 stars all over the place, and they're all on the field. And you can't beat a team like App State, and you can't handle a team like Miami who's unproven. So that's personal preference. It's a really good question. But if I had to answer it, I would say Miami. Like, if you win this game and you crack the top 10, things get serious. To go into College Station, take down Jimbo Fisher, not an easy thing to do. Tyler Van Dyke and those Canes played a sloppy game against Southern Miss last week at Hard Rock Stadium. And Tyler Van Dyke said, quote, "If I play the same way I did today, we won't beat Texas A&M." Another quote that I love, Tyler Van Dyke told Xavier Estrepo, their best receiver, "I love getting booed. Like, it makes me so much more dialed in." Hearing that from a quarterback that is in the Heisman race, that is in the national spotlight, love that. I had an argument on our show down here at ESPN West Palm Beach last week. On air, it got heated. The question came from a caller, and he said, "Is Miami going to be single or double-digit dogs next week?" I was the only one on the show who said they're single-digit dogs. There's no way they're going to be plus 10, plus 11, plus 13 and a half. There's just no way. Boom, the number 4.5 gets spit out. It's a good number to see if you're a Miami fan. Jacoby George is coming off a 2-game suspension. He's going to find the end zone. I can guarantee that. He's talking about he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Tyler knows that he's got to get him the ball. I like Miami here. And to quote Josh Pate, CBS, he said this Texas A&M offense is expired, spoiled milk back in 2014. You see the same stuff over and over from Jimbo Fisher with that big-ass play card. It ain't going to work. I like Miami's defense. I like Cam Kitchens snagging an interception. A huge, huge game for Miami. The biggest that any kid on this roster has ever played right here this Saturday. It's 4.5-point dogs. I'm rocking with the U right now.
You don't think the expired milk video leads him to change his play card, cut it in half?
No. To be honest, knowing Jimbo, he's going to make it double the size that it already is right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Perfect for a team from Texas, too.
Yes.
So the last game I want to get to, this is a big name game, but it's not necessarily your typical primetime matchup where you're saying this is the game of the week. It's definitely not the game of the week, but there is something interesting here. 3-point spread. Penn State and Auburn. Number 22 Penn State favored at Auburn by just 3 points. Penn State is right in that tier below Michigan and Ohio State in their expected finish in the Big Ten East. So maybe a surprising run after their win against Purdue to open the season. Pretty good team, pretty high expectations. Auburn has no expectations. They're picked last in their division in the SEC. Didn't look good against San Jose State, won by 1 score, but just a 3-point spread. That caught my eye. What do you think's going on here?
Man, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I like Penn State. And, Sean Clifford, their quarterback, said it last week. I think we're a championship caliber team. Okay, buddy, you're 22 ranked team in the country. You can kind of hold your horses there, but Sean Clifford's looked good. I have a lot of faith in him. If you remember, he beat Auburn, I believe 32-28 last year. So he's got the experience in the big time games. He's played Ohio State twice. He's gone toe to toe with Minnesota and played in some bowl games now. And TJ Finley, on the other hand, I can't say enough bad things about him. I mean, so 13 of 20 for San Jose, 0 touchdown passes, and then 9 of 14 last week. I know it was Mercer, right? I know he gets pulled out of the game early, but 1 touchdown pass and 2 interceptions there. It's typically not what you see, right? You get an SEC team versus some FCS teams. You got 4 touchdown passes in the first half. You got 300 yards passing in the first half before you get yanked out of the game. So for him not to have success against some of these smaller teams scares me, to be honest, because you're at home. You got expectations, right? You're only a field goal dog against the Penn State team coming in. A lot of question marks for Auburn. I like Penn State here. I like Sean Clifford, his experience. You mentioned that he's probably my 3rd favorite Heisman vote if I had it. Obviously don't have one, but yeah, I'm rocking with the Heisman candidate, Sean Clifford, in this game. I just think he's got more experience in these big games. One thing that I do think Auburn has going for them is it's an orange out following suit with Penn State's white out. I think SEC territory down south inviting the guys from the PA. It's going to get rowdy. So I like the scenes that we're going to see and the rowdiness of the SEC fans and whatnot coming down to the South. Penn State's got to play in that sauna, but ultimately I like Penn State.
Okay, Penn State again. That 3-point number is wild. I thought it would have been at least a touchdown, even though it's on the road in an SEC stadium. But hey, what do I know? I'm going to Vegas this week. Maybe I'll find something out about how these lines are set.
Absolutely. I just think that, you got to go to Auburn, right? I think you're just going to SEC country. Like, you're going down there and it's big dog territory. And I think that's why, Oregon is favored in the game, right? I ultimately think BYU probably would be favored if they were playing at home, but you just got to give the home team the point. You got to make them cover the points. It's harder to play away in some of those big time games.
All right, another week coming up. Maybe we'll have a name next week. Any broadcast this week? You made your ESPN Plus debut last weekend. SIU and SEMO did a great job from what I heard. What do you got this weekend?
I got nothing going this weekend. I will be down, I believe, Hard Rock Stadium, doing some stuff, working for the Dolphins, but no broadcast this weekend. So I'll have my eyes on these games, being able to watch these from start to finish. I can't wait. Okay.
All right. I'll see you down your way. We're in Venice, Florida, Thursday.
Okay.
So we've got ESPN2 game on Thursday night, ESPNU Friday night in Vegas. So
phenomenal. I'll be tuning into both.
All right. Book it.
I will.
Book it. All right. Cool. That's week 3 of the Nameless college football segment.